Good morning from Fast Company. Here's our daily look into what's driving today's creative business leaders. If your company is losing Gen Z talent, chances are the problem isn't them, it's you. The phrase quiet quitting has become a catch-all for blaming Gen Z workers for workplace disengagement. Older generations stereotype them as unmotivated, unwilling to go the extra mile, and too demanding. But here's the reality. Gen Z isn't disengaged. They're just done tolerating bad leadership. My research, including surveys, interviews, and case studies across industries, shows that what many have labeled quitting is actually a rational response to workplaces that lack fairness, structure, and alignment with employee values. Instead of writing off an entire generation, leaders should be asking, what are we doing wrong? The real problem? Leadership that hasn't kept up. Gen Z grew up amid economic uncertainty, social justice movements, and an increasing focus on mental health. They don't just want jobs, they want workplaces that prioritize psychological safety, transparency, and fairness. And yet, many companies still cling to outdated management styles, rigid hierarchies, inconsistent expectations, and vague career paths. If leadership is unclear, unresponsive, or inequitable, Gen Z isn't going to stick around and suffer in silence. That's not quitting, that's self-respect. Why traditional leadership fails Gen Z? Leadership models that worked for previous generations often fall flat today. Take transformational leadership, which focuses on vision and motivation. It sounds great, but often lacks the psychological safety Gen Z craves. Servant leadership, which emphasizes employee well-being, is a step in the right direction, but can also fail if it lacks structure and clarity. Gen Z doesn't just want a charismatic leader who inspires them. They want fairness, clear expectations, and leaders who actually listen. When those elements are missing, disengagement is inevitable. This is where the model I developed, Engaged Empathy Leadership Model, or EELM, offers a solution. A better leadership model: kindness, fairness, structure. Through my research, I developed the EELM, a leadership framework designed to retain and engage Gen Z talent by focusing on three essential elements. Kindness. Leaders who genuinely care and empathize build trust and psychological safety. Employees are more engaged when they feel valued as individuals, not just as workers. Fairness. Gen Z expects equitable treatment in promotions, pay, and opportunities. If they sense any sort of favoritism or lack of transparency, they disengage. Structure. Gen Z demands clarity in expectations, consistent feedback, and transparent decision-making eliminate the ambiguity that leads to frustration. Remember, structure isn't about rigidity, it's about alignment. Real-world success. Companies doing it right. Forward-thinking companies are already proving that when leadership evolves, Gen Z thrives. I've seen it work in several instances. One tutoring company increased retention by replacing traditional performance reviews with casual one-on-one check-ins, sometimes over coffee or even during a round of golf. Employees didn't stay because they had to, they stayed because they felt heard. Then there's the production company in the manufacturing and retail space that shifted bonus structures from individual seniority-based rewards to team-based outcomes. This resulted in less resentment, better collaboration, and a more engaged workforce. The last example I'll mention is a restaurant that implemented structured weekly feedback sessions. This provided a format for open conversations where employees could ask questions, voice concerns, and get clear guidance. These town halls weren't for just top-down critique. They allowed employees to critique leadership in a respectful way and engage in honest discussions. The result? A dramatic boost in engagement and retention. Debunking the bad attitude myth. One of the most persistent myths about Gen Z is that they have bad attitudes. In reality, they simply communicate differently and expect clarity. Workplace conflicts often stem from misaligned expectations, like a Gen Z employee thinking a text message is fine for calling in sick, while an older manager expects a phone call. And let's be clear, no generation is inherently more or less hardworking. Employees of any age go the extra mile when they trust leadership and see a future for themselves in an organization. The end of the quiet quitting myth. Gen Z isn't quietly quitting. They're actively deciding where to invest their energy. If leaders fail to evolve, disengagement isn't a mystery, it's a predictable outcome. But for companies that embrace kindness, fairness, and structure, Gen Z won't just stay, they'll excel. The question isn't whether Gen Z is willing to work hard. The real question is, are leaders willing to evolve? That's all today from Fast Company. Talk to you tomorrow.
Spoken Layer.